Hey everybody, and welcome to my In5 series on the Akai MPC, where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. Decay Star writes in with a question about how to fix clicking and pops at the start or end of a loop when you are doing a time-stretched loop. I'm not sure if Decay Star is using time stretching or warping. They are very similar but subtly different, so let's first get into that. So up first, I'm just going to go to Browse, and we're going to go Places, and I'll just go grab... Let's go SSD, not SD. I'm just going to go load up a sample. We'll go cinematic here. Go wave loops. Strings sounds good. We'll get this first one. Now, I'm just getting this because it plays consistently the whole way through, and it is the type of sample that sometimes will have these pops and clicks, and I'll explain why you get them, but let's just load this up into the first pad. Now, first thing to know is, or just to play so you hear how it sounds. It sounds like, it says it's 90 BPM in the file. I'm going to say it's probably 4 bars is my guess. Now, it thinks the 8 BPM here says 80.68. We're just going to ignore it, but we're going to well, we should set it to 90 to be correct, just in case it uses for anything. I'll show you in a second. So let's go to time stretch, which is under process. So this is an offline, not real-time effect. It is pretty high quality, and it's usually what you want to use if you want to get the best time stretching sound with that. So if you don't have the BPM changing over time, whoops, it's not 900 BPM, it's 90. So if you don't have the BPM changing over time, like you're not going from, if it's just going to be one consistent BPM and you just want to change it, this is where you would probably want to do it. It's going to sound the best. You can do ratio, or you can do new tempo, just so that you can hear the quality of it, and we can do a compare and contrast. I'm going to set this down to 45, which is a ratio of 50. We're just going half. It's going to basically be playing at half the speed. And this is an area where warping, which is the real-time engine, tends to sound pretty bad. And you can see, like, it goes to do the processing. It takes a little while. On older MPCs, this would be a go make a cup of coffee, eat a sandwich. You can see this isn't too bad. And now it's playing much slower. It's playing half the speed, but the pitch should be about as close to the same as you get. I am, however, going to go rename this because I'm going to reload this file in a second. And we want to know that this is 45 versus the other one that we're going to load back in, which will then be 90. So we've got this sample. Let's go back to the browser. I'm going to go to the second pad and go load. So we've got both going now. Now, if I come in and hold down this menu and go into the track view, we can go to samples. And if I go to the second one, we can turn warp on. And that's going to force it to play. It's going to rewarp it to run correctly. Now, the BPM's wrong. We're going to have to go fix this again. And you're going to see this all over the place. It's like, okay, why doesn't it save it? I don't know. So this is about what it should sound like. It's playing a little bit faster because it's at 96 BPM. If we go set it to 90, we won't hear. This was how it actually should be playing. Now, for the fun part. If I come in and set this to 45 BPM to do the comparison, you're going to hear the sound. It sounds a little harsher. We're getting a lot more artifacts, but it is doing this in real time. Versus, so I don't know if that helps give you a comparison, but hopefully that will help. Now, as to the issues with getting clicks in the start and the end, what you're really talking about usually is that either the start or end or both parts of the file do not have a zero cross that will be able to loop. So like if you imagine a line, and then like it crosses at the start up here, and sometimes it's like down here or wherever it is for the end. They basically just go like a solid line where it's forcing the like your speakers or whatever to have to like change values very quickly, that's where you're getting those pops and clicks. So what you're really wanting to do to fix this, and I didn't hear any in this loop, but if you come in, a thing you can do is you can go into the envelope. I will, like, often if I'm hearing pops and clicks and I don't know if it's the start or the end, or it could be both, I'll at least put like an attack of 1 or 2 on the end. And if I'm in the AD here, I'll go in and then I might set the decay to like 10 or 18 or something. And what you're really basically doing is forcing a volume change at the start and at the end. This can really help get rid of those clicks. But a side effect of this is that if you have to go to like a really extreme value, you may hear that it'll start sounding like a volume being just turned down and then turned back up. So you don't get this consistent sound, which is what you frequently want. Now, given that being a problem, I'm going to undo both of these. I'm just going to set it back to 0. We're going to leave the decay at the end. A different suggestion that I would usually consider doing and suggesting to folks is if you got a sample, it doesn't really matter which one. I'm just going to go sample edit. I'm just double tapping mute. And we want to do a fade in and potentially a fade out. Now you need to zoom in very far. So I'm just going to take the endpoint so we can go work on the start first. And we're just going to zoom in here. You want to get as tight as you possibly can. And what you'll probably see is like, and this is also a problem with stereo files, is like the left channel could be fine and the right one might not be, because they're changing or they're changing at different values, and you still need to come through and fix this. Get as close as you either can or feel comfortable with to go modify. This will be, and basically what we're going to do is go process. We're not going to do time stretch. We're going to go fade in. And with a linear fade in, it's going to basically take from the start of your start point at the beginning and then go to the end and basically put like a forced value curve where it's going to start at 0 and then go up to whatever the maximum is for your sample here. And I'm not going to hit do it because this doesn't need it, but that would be how you're going to go fix the start of your sample. And then I'm just moving the endpoint out because when I zoom out, it's going to get hard to grab it. But what you want to then do is go all the way to the end and do the same process where you're going to, this silly thing. We're going to keep zooming in. If I keep my fingers closer, this doesn't like tend to jump as much, but it can still be annoying. Well, anyway, let me zoom back out. This is where I start. Doing the end here can be a real chore. Anyway, I'm just going to take the start point. I'm just going to get it as close as possible. And yeah, it's just going to keep jumping. Anyway, you can come in and take like the start point and get it like really close. Use the Q links to back it up. Go process and do fade out as well. And again, really the intent here is you want it to be the smallest amount that you can possibly get away with to then force the 0 cross point at the end of the file. And if the start and end both are at a 0 cross, that should eliminate the click. Now, you may have other things that are generating clicks. You may have recorded off of like vinyl or something else that just has natural pops and clicks. That's much harder to deal with, but this is just what you want to do. This is another way to go do this besides using envelopes. Now, last few things. If you decided to take, for example, this sample and chop it up, you're going to end up finding, where's my start point? I'll go put it back at the beginning. Anyway, if you decide to chop this up and you go for a non-destructive chop, you can't really very easily use the start and end fade in and fade out to try and fix the samples for the cross points. And I guarantee if I can't, I'm going to cancel. If I go chop here and go by region, let's say we do 16, you can hear like there's a little pop here. What I typically do to get rid of these types of pops will be hold shift. I'll do 0 point snap so that it'll snap in, and I'll just like take and, well, what about the endpoint? But I'm just going to slightly move it. And you can hear it immediately sounds better. It's not perfect, but you can hear there's like a little bit of a pop on the start. There doesn't have to be one on the end, so like I don't need to worry about that. And you can see here, we've got like the stereo image. So on the top, which is the left, it's not quite entering like, or it's starting to enter the next note. Both of them are kind of entering the next note. Again, with the zero snap, we can just kind of move it a little bit and see if we can at least get it to sound better. Now, with all this said, you're still going to find that you're going to do some of these chops. They're going to have some starter end issues. And this is where I would say going back to the ADSR, I'm going to come back here. Whoops, I forgot to hit the chop button. So if I go from here, shift convert, I've now got a non-destructive chop, which just means it's still referencing this exact same sample that I've got here. If you do the destructive chop where it creates one slice for each of these, yes, you can go into each one pretty quickly and do the start and end point, but assuming you don't want to do all that work, just what you want to do is once you've got your new program, go into menu, get into your track view, click the button up here for edit zones, select all probably. I mean, you can do one at a time if you want, but I usually just do all of them. I'll do like a attack of 1 to 3, and I'll do a decay maybe around like 10-ish or so. And you can hear like there's no pops or clicks right now. So a lot of this stuff is resolved. Anyway, Decay Star, thank you for the question. I know I super massively over-explained what you were looking for an answer, but I hope this gets you in the right direction for solving your pop and click issues. And anybody else that might be coming in here with a few different questions about like either chopping, what's the difference between time stretch and warping on the MPC or any of that stuff. So thank you again. Thanks for stopping by. Keep making music. Keep having fun. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. And peace.